Shavua Tov, dear friends. The end of Vayikra, Parasha's Behar, Bechukotai. Some very important conversation here about the land that we consider to be Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, and our land, the land of the Jewish people. All true. Very, very true. God gave us this land. And He gave us this land with very specific conversation of how that land should be taken care of, how that land should be handled, how that land should be tilled and toiled, how many years you should work it, and how much time it needs to rest. And in all of it, don't forget, this is my land that I am giving you, says Hashem. Just like He chose Mount Sinai, the smallest mountain, suggesting humility, to give TORAH. Why didn't He choose a valley? Why did He choose the smallest mountain? Well, it's not necessary to humble yourself to the point of being hardly existing. You should be a small mountain, but you should also remember where you come from, where and why you live there, where and why you till the land, and who ultimately has the control over the land. It's like getting a present from somebody. It's like getting a present from somebody and deciding, well, that present actually isn't what I really want. I'm going to give part of it away, or I'm giving it all away. It's not really the way it is it? When you receive a present, you take care of it. You love it. You are grateful for it. You cherish it. In the Gutnik Chumash, which of course I always use, it's a very interesting conversation of how people fall into three categories of serving God. As a beginner in the study of practice of Judaism, not having trained yet your mindset and personality to be in harmony with Jewish values, at this stage, any traces of ego would prove totally counterproductive to the spiritual growth, because this ego would serve to strengthen an unrefined personality. As an intermediary, you've already considerably refined your personality to adhere to Jewish values, and you've acquired knowledge. At that point, you're observing laws, and in general, consider yourself an observant Jew. But nevertheless, the ego must be carefully tempered with humility to prevent it from arrogance and selfishness. And then there is the advanced way of serving God, and that is if a person has totally transformed his mind and his body to want only the values of Judaism. By exercising his ego, he will only reinforce and strengthen a personality which is totally dedicated to Torah and mitzvahs. And this is why the Parasha is called Behar, or the mountain, without the clarification that it is Sinai. It's not even mentioned that it's Sinai. The Torah is teaching us that every Jew is capable of becoming a spiritual giant whose personality is so holy that it does not need to be restrained with humility. I think that's an ideological conversation, because I don't think any one of us ever gets there. But I have to tell you that, for instance, I understand a breadth of politics. Don't consider myself anything special. Don't think I have any particular grand opinions about anything, but I know what I can accept and what I cannot accept, and I cannot accept an Orthodox man, a converted Orthodox wife, also being the daughter of the President of the United States, the son-in-law of the President of the United States, and going to Saudi Arabia and traveling on Shabbos. I can't accept it. To me, that is hypocrisy of the first nature. Will never change my mind, and no rabbinic psak, no rabbinic decision will change my mind about whether or not that is permissible or not permissible. The idea of an Orthodox Jew walking around without a kippah under all circumstances, a hat, a covering, doesn't work for me. His wife walking around in short sleeves and not being snares doesn't work for me. So, I understand we live in a world and we need to wear the costumes of the world, and my answer to all that is baloney, nonsense. Believe me, in all of my travels, the one thing that I've seen, and I'm nobody. Whatever I have, whatever I've done, whatever I'm going to do, B'ezrat Hashem, whatever I'm meant to be doing, comes from a source that is giving me the koiches, obviously, the strength to do it. But I am in all cases, and we must be in all cases, not the costumes of a society, of any society that we live in. But we have not understood over 5,000 years of history. And there have been very, very, very few real uprisings over the fact. Hanukkah is one of them, of course. Purim is another one, where it was because I am who I am, leave me alone. We lose the temple because of sinat chinam, because of hating each other, because of not loving each other. We lose two temples. If we look at the world today, what do you see? See anything different than what there was 5,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago? It's always the same conversation. Basically, we have learned nothing. "23, Parshas Behar. Hashem says, the land should not be sold permanently because the land belongs to me, since you are strangers and residents with me." Forgive me, but the Christian religion holds by the Old Testament. Who has the right in the world? In the world, who has the right to go against what Hashem says? And he says, the land should not be sold permanently because the land belongs to me. What is this conversation about territory? What is this conversation about Jerusalem is not territory that belongs to Israel? What is the world not hearing? Throughout the land which you possess, it is a mitzvah, it is a good deed to redeem the land as follows. And then there is a conversation that goes on and on about how there are laws, there are rules, there are regulations, there are benders of the law, there are chastisers of the law, there are felons of the law, and there are people who really don't care about the law at all, and they don't care about what's written, and they don't hold by what's written because they think they have the power. I really have to say this. I have to say it. And I'm a person that is very much embracing the world. And I have great respect for every human being, no matter who he is in the world, no matter what religion he is part of in the world. What I do not have respect for is who does not observe. Because when you come down to it, God is God. The religion is equal. God asks us to be human beings who love each other, who respect each other. I don't have time for you. I don't have interest in you. You don't matter to me. So I can treat you the way I want to. Because I wear the costume of simply doesn't work. From Behar we go into Parashat Bechukotai, and the Parasha begins with, if you pursue my laws. Rashi explains this means that one must toil in study of Torah. In other words, it doesn't refer to the basic requirement of observing mitzvahs, good deeds. In the second verse, it mentions, guard my commandments and observe them. I don't know where there is room for conversation in this, because the commandments should be engraved upon your heart and your soul and your mind and your body. And if that is not the case, if it's not the case, then you will receive exactly what you deserve. And if you do not, and if you do, there are very different ways that Hashem has picked out for you as to what you will receive. And he says, when you fulfill the mitzvahs and you study my laws in order to guard my commandments and observe them, then I will give you. I'll give you rain. I'll give you trees. I'll give you harvest. I'll give you bread. I'll give you happiness. I'll give you joy. I'll give you everything you want, because you are following my laws. But if you do not follow Hashem's laws, I'm just going to read the consequences of failing to observe mitzvahs. You do not listen to me by studying the oral law, and you do not perform all these commandments. And if this leads you to find people who keep my laws disgusting, and if this leads you to hate Torah scholars who study my laws, and if this leads you to stop others from performing the commandments, and you deny that they are in fact my commandments at all, and you eventually break my commandments by denying the principles of faith, then I too shall do the same to you. I will direct upon you panic, inflammation, fever, and diseases that cause hopeless longing and anguish to your families. You will sow seed, it won't sprout, will be eaten by your enemies. I will devote my time, says Hashem, away from all my affairs and deal with you, and you will be struck down before your enemies. Your enemies will rule over you. You will flee out of terror. But really, no one will be pursuing you. No one. I get extremely emotional. Extremely emotional. Because all this really means is blessings. And all of the admonitions in the entire conversation are really, in truth, what we can turn into blessings. Hashem tells us how to value and dedicate to the temple. The world says Jerusalem is territory. I have to laugh, and every time I hear something like that, I really can't believe that with all the intelligence we possess, with all of the information we possess, with all that is available to us, the basic things we don't look at. There are 613 commandments. Hashem knows, He knows that the way we're made and the way we do things and the way life is, there is no way that even a tzaddik can keep all 613 commandments. But Rabbi Akiva, a convert, who began his study at the age of 40, and who became one of the greatest scholars and sages of our people, concisely and precisely put it when he was asked, describe the Torah by standing on one foot. And he said, Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha. And you should love thy neighbor as thyself. And the rest is commentary. And my friends, when you look at all of it, and we talk about many things, and there is a lot of detail, and sometimes I wonder, why does Hashem care about all this detail that He gives us? How much gold and how much linen and how much copper should be used. But detail. And then comes Rabbi Akiva, and he says, Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha. and the rest is commentary. And when you look at that, and when you realize that if you love yourself, and if you really, really are connected to yourself inside your neshama, your soul, listening very, very, very carefully to your inner voice, following your inner voice, moving along in the depth of listening to Hashem speaking to you, listening to the words of the sages, enabling yourself to open up your heart, then you can have that relationship with other people. If you don't do that, and if you can't do that, and if you're so selfish that the other person really means nothing to you, then you have the answer to most of your life's dilemmas. Commandments on the small mountain, humble yet powerful, small yet grand, completely at the disposal of Hashem's commands. When you listen to the curses and you find in them the true blessings, then you can say, Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. Be strong, and may we be strengthened. At the end of the book of Vayikra, at the front door of Matan Torah, when we start everything all over again on the 40th day, I think today is the 41st day of counting the Omer, and why we count the Omer, and what we're looking to refine in counting the Omer, and what really does it mean? Yesod shebeyesod. Yesod shebeyesod. When you understand that without the foundation, there is no foundation, then where are you going? And the foundation is Torah. Torah is the tree of life. Torah is the blueprint for life. Torah is life itself. And when you understand that, and when you live your life with those principles, Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. Shavua Tov. Have a beautiful week. And may all the blessings be showered upon you about your family, in your countries. Amen, amen.